Shree Maathrey Namaha. We'll start with the prayers. Can we do Shuklam Bhadram Vishnu?
Shuklam Bhadram Vishnu Shivanam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaya Sarva Vidnopashante.
Shrikanto Matlavasya.
Shrikanto Mataloyasya Janani Sarvamangala Janakaha Shankaro Mahadevaka Tvam Vande Gajananam.
Shankaraha Mahadevaha.
Mahadevaha.
Very good. Vimalapati Kamalakuti. Doing. You're muted.
Vimalapati Kamalakuti Pustaka Rudraksha Sasta Hastaputi Kamakshi Pakshmalakshi Kavita Vipanshi Vivasi Vairinchi.
Manojavam.
Manojavam Marutatulya Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanarayutumukyam Sri Ramadutam Sirasa Namami.
Apadam Apahartaram.
Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarva Sampadam Loka Viramam Sri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamiham. Anjaneyam Mahaviram Brahma Vishnu Shivatmakam Balarka Sadrusha Bhavam Ramatutam Namamiham.
Very good. Saraswati Namastubhyam.
Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavati Me Sada.
Very good. Then Sarada Niradendu.
Sarada Niradendu Ghanasara Patira Marala Mallika Haratushara Fena Rajatachala Kasafanesa Kunda Mandara Sudapayodisita Tamara Samara Vahini Subhakarata Noppu Ninnu Madiganaga Nannadu Galgu Bharati.
Shiva Shakti Ayuto.
Shiv Shaktayukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Pravahitum Nache Devam Devo Nakalu Kushala Spanditum Api Atastvama Radhyam Harihara Vininchadi Virapi Ranantum Stotam Va Katamakrita Punyam Pravavati.
Very good. So, today we will discuss the 28th Slokam of Soundarya Lahari, which in the last class we have discussed, that has saved and rescued the lives of 5 people that I know directly when they were in the clutches or the jaws of death. Somehow, they and their family were given this slokam, the 28th Slokam of Soundarya Lahari. Sudhamapya swadya pratibhayajara muktyuharanim vipadyante vishve nidishatamakadyah divishadaha karalam yakshvelam kabalitavatah kalakanana shambhostan moolam tavajanani tatankam mahima. And they chanted this until the person who was in a medical and grave danger came back out of it, and they still continue. Recently, for the first week of January, I happened to travel, and this was to visit an extended family where one of their family members was asked by the doctors to be taken away because of the COVID. Both lungs were impacted and the person had a lung failure, where the person was kept on the ventilator, and the doctors were wanting to do a lung transplantation, not one, both lung transplants for this person. And they did the lung transplantation. They were not sure whether they'll be able to get a lung, a pair of lungs, because lung has to be transferred from a person who died in the last 2-3 hours to a person who's receiving. You can't really preserve it for a long time. right? And you can't kill a person to get lungs also. So they have to die naturally, and therefore they can pick the lungs and therefore put them in or transplant them into the recipient from the donor. Miraculously, when the family started chanting, not only in the next 16 hours they were able to get the lungs. A bank manager was traveling from Ahmedabad to Hyderabad on road. Unfortunately, he met with an accident where he passed away, right? And therefore, that person's lungs, the family decided to donate to this person who needed the lungs. Okay. And so that donor and recipient were connected. Now, though you have the donor and recipient connected, lung transplantation is a very complicated surgery. Recently, I was talking to a very senior doctor in US during my visit, and he's a kidney transplant specialist himself. So he knows of this case, and he said it's quite miraculous. And he was telling me on how it's no short or nothing less than a miracle that protected this patient. Because medically, heart transplant is okay, kidney transplant is okay. I'm not very proficient with the medical know-how, but when the kidney transplant specialist told me this, it again gave me an opportunity to express my gratitude towards Parashakti, our Divine Mother, and how she continues to protect. And I was very surprised and curious because while everybody has to be born, everybody has to die also. That's the order of the nature. That is the Prakritic Dharma. Naturally, nobody wants to die. None of us want to lose our loved ones, right? Because that's the nature of our life. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to lose the loved ones. But whenever a person is facing a grave danger, or the family is fighting this grave danger, not everyone gets access to mantras like this Slokam that we'll discuss today. So I was curious on why mother chose to give this mantra to that person's family and therefore keeping this person still alive, where even in a couple of cases the astrology said they will die at that point in time. Very famous astrologist said there's no coming back, these people, and their own family gave up on them. But the faith of one person in the family or somebody else praying for them kept them alive. It's not the power of the person who was praying, right? It's not the power of the person who was chanting the mantra. It is the faith of the person, whoever chanted this mantra for the other person. And that faith brought back, reinforcements to protect the life from leaving the body. And when I naturally became curious on why mother chooses to go to certain people, there are many people, who when reached out to me, I gave the mantra to them and said, chant. They didn't chant, and the grave danger consumed the person. Some people chanted, but even then their families did not see the results. But some people, these 5 that I know very well. So I was curious on what is it that these people have done? What is it others have not done? So I went back trying to find out. Turns out, in this person who had both the lungs transplanted, his wife is a great Santoshi Mata devotee, and she would fast every Friday, keeping Santoshi Mata Vratam. Okay, in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, when she was relatively younger, before she had lifestyle diseases like diabetes, BP, and others, because of which she could not fast anymore. And in all the rest of the 4 cases also, there were some connections to divinity. One was a devotee of Rama, very strong devotee of Rama. One was a devotee of Hanuman. One was a devotee of Vishnu. So their devotion to that form comes back to protect them, to extend the life. Now you might ask me, these astrologers said there is death written at that point in time. Were they wrong? In nobody's astrology, death is written. Okay, there will be planetary position that will show great danger, which could also mean death, but nobody can predict death. The way death is predicted by astrology, when we are all born with certain number of breaths, ubiri, how many ever cycle of inhale and exhale we do. Therefore, it is extremely important to stay calm. What happens when you stay calm? When you stay calm, your rate of breath is very, very normal. When you're excited with happiness, when you're moving with anger, or one of the 6 enemies, kama, desire, krodha, anger, mada, as arrogance, moha, infatuation, lobha, greed, kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, jealousy. When we move with any of these 6 emotions, you will start noticing the breath will start becoming shallow. When breath becomes shallow, you have to take more breaths to feed prana, vayu, or oxygen to your body. And therefore, people who are very angry, people who are all the time talking, people who are moving with one or the other emotion all the time will die an untimely death because they are consuming their number of breaths. And when my Himalayan Guru Devra Baba lived for a documented 298 years, there are people who also say saints who told me that Devra Baba lived for more than 467 years because they have heard from their Paramagurus. Paramagurus like great grandfather, right? Their guru's guru also told them about Devra Baba, and the people who told me were in their 80s. So 4 generations has seen, even if each saint lived for an average of 70 to 80 years, you're talking about 320 years, right? And many such saints lived because when they do pranayama and meditation, their breath becomes extremely slow. This is the reason in Sanatana Dharma we pray to tortoise. Tortoise is known to live 250 years plus. The longest longevity of animals is of tortoise. And when you talk about Sri Vidya, at the bottom of the Meru, you have the turtle, Kurma. Therefore, all of us are supposed to keep a turtle in our house. If you cannot keep a real life turtle because you cannot maintain it, you should at least keep a turtle image. Every time you see a turtle, a silver turtle or a copper turtle or a glass turtle, every time you see a turtle, your breath also starts slowing down. Okay? This is the reason we have to keep a turtle in the house. Yeah? If you can keep it in the prayer room, well and good. Okay? Now, this person, whom I visited recently, is improving. After 2 years of surgery, 2 years of recovery, is improving his health, and his family still chants that mantra. That is the power of this mantra. Others, in whose case it did not work, they themselves were not convinced. They said, how can mantras bring back life? When doctors and specialists are not able to bring back life, yad bhavam tat bhavati. Whatever you think and trust, so will manifest. So it's always important to think of good things. It's always important to think of positive things and keep thinking of those positive things that will manifest. Okay? Now, let's talk about this slokam. Sudhamapyaswadya pratibhayajara mrityu harinim. Sudhamapyaswadya pratibhayajara mrityu harinim. In spite of drinking Sudha, what does Sudha mean? Sudha means Amritam. Amritam, that which will not kill, that which pushes away death, is Amritam, the nectar. Sudhamapyaswadya, who drank Tripadas, people who always appear very young. Three padas means 3 multiplied by 10, 30. People who are always appearing as if they are 30-year-olds. Who are them? If you look at all the gods, goddesses, they appear very young because their age gets locked at 30 years. Okay, and they don't age beyond that because they drank Amritam. But all these people who drank Amritam also get killed. When do they get killed? When Mahapralayam happens. Who does Mahapralayam? When Shiva becomes Rudra and does the Pralaya Tandavam. Mahapralaya Tandava Sakshini is a name in Lalita Sahasranamam. The only person who witnesses that Pralayam and Pralaya Tandavam is Shiva Shakti. She herself turns Shiva into Rudra, and she turns Rudra into Shiva. When she realizes the time has come, look, when the kids don't study and are watching TV, mommy will say certain times, then mommy will go tell daddy, it's time, you go tell. And daddy will come scream, shout at us, or probably give a slap saying, why are you wasting your time? And then when daddy is becoming uncontrollable, mommy says, it's okay, cool down. Whatever you wanted to say, you have conveyed. So the Shakti has the power to accelerate or decelerate. Then daddy also slows down. Where is this coming from? It's coming from the first parents, Jagato Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwarao. Shiva is always filled with peace and Shanti. But when mother realizes that peace will not serve, be sufficient to treat, then she will make him enact anger, right? And therefore Shiva acts angry, and therefore he will become Rudra. So even all these gods will reach their end, as we discussed numerous times. There's only Sada Shiva, there's no Sada Brahma, Sada Indra, right? There is nobody like that. Even the Chiranjeevis will go merge with the Sadashiva. Sadashiva, because eternally Shiva alone exists. Even the Shakti goes into him. That is the form of Dakshinamurti. That's the reason you don't see Parvati Devi next to Dakshinamurti. He's sitting and meditating, and his energy is a representation of Shakti. This is the same form that is seen in Lord Hanuman, who is a Rupam of Rudra. Okay, but Hanuman's tail is a representation of Parvati Devi. Okay, Hanuman got married to the daughter of sun god, Surya Bhagavan's daughter, Suvarchala Devi, who is also a great tapasvi. In the Yoga Vidya, there are certain parts of Yoga Vidya that will only be taught to Grihasthas. So Surya's daughter requested Surya that I want to get married to a great Vedic scholar who will not be infatuated by women or women's body, and therefore who never gets moved by kama, lust. And therefore, Surya Bhagavan, when he was teaching his disciple, Hanuman's teacher is Surya. When he was teaching his disciple, Hanuman, he saw all these characters in Hanuman. And Hanuman asked Guruji, how will I learn those parts of Veda that are meant for only Grihasthas and not for Brahmacharis? And therefore, Surya Bhagavan said, my daughter Subachala is also equally scholastic. So both of you get married to each other and become grihasthas, and therefore learn this part of Veda. Okay, and that's when Hanuman got married. Do you know where the temple is there? In Hyderabad, there is a place called Tadband in the older Sikandarabad. In that place, when Hanuman was carrying Sanjeevani Parvatam, a boulder rolled and fell in the Tadband place of Hyderabad or Sikandarabad. There, if you go, you will see Suvarchala Sameta Anjaneya Swami, and their animal is camel. Okay. In that place, there are many other temples that are there across India where Hanuman is seen along with Suvarchala Devi. Both are great tapasvis and yogi and yoginis respectively. Okay. Now, all the gods also they're scared of the end when Mahapralayam comes. So the first line says, Sudamapya Swadya Pratibhaya Jaramrutyu Harinim. So even they are scared. Pratibhaya Jaramrutyu Haranim. Okay. And these people who drank the gods, Rahu and Ketu, who drank the Amritam, when Mohini, why did Vishnumurti take Mohini Avataram? Because Ayyappa had to be born. And in order to give birth to Ayyappa, Vishnu took the avataram of Mohini. How did he take the avataram of Mohini? He prayed to his sister Parvati Devi and said, give me your feminine form. And therefore Vishnu became Mohini. We pray to Shiva saying, Mahadeva. Why would that Mahadeva move with lust and run after Mohini? Because of a boon that one of the Rakshasas got, who needs to be killed by a son that will be born to Shiva and Vishnu. He thought two men cannot have babies. And therefore, in order to give birth, in the last class we discussed only a woman's body can bring life onto the planet. Therefore, Vishnu had to take the Sri Avataram. And therefore, Ayyappa was born. Harihara Putra Ayyappa. That's the reason we call Harihara Putra. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava. So we say Hari's name first because Vishnu took the feminine form. Hara is Shiva. Harihara Putra Ayyappa. Okay. Now, Sudamapyaswadya Pratibhaya Jara Mrityuharnim Vipadyante Vishve Nidishatam Kadya Devishadaha. Now, when all these gods, goddesses also reach their end and they're scared of it, when your husband was summoned, by who summoned? All the gods and goddesses, all the Rakshasas and Rakshasis were churning the ocean of milk, making the Meru Parvatam, the stirrer, and Vasuki of Shiva. Okay, and what is the snake of Mahavishnu? Ananta, right? Ananta and Vasuki were roped in to make the rope, and they were churning in using the snake. Now, the Meru stirrer that was slipping down. So Vishnumurti had to take the form of Kurma, tortoise, and he was lifting it up when they were churning the ocean of milk. Who is there? Rakshasas on one side, Devatas on the other side. Why? Even they did not want to die. So they want to get Amritam. Yeah. What happened? First flying horses came. Then Airavatam came. Then Lakshmi Devi was born. Okay. Everybody kept taking one. Rakshasas took the flying horses, Bali. And then the Airavatam was taken by Indra. When Mother Goddess Lakshmi was born from the ocean of milk, Vishnu got married to her. Okay. And then was born the halahalam. Halahalam is extremely poisonous. Think of it as poisonous gas and lava put together. Whoever inhales will die or become unconscious before they die. Or whoever halahalam touches, it turns them into ashes. So everybody in the leadership of Vishnu and Indra. Why Vishnu and Indra? Vishnu is the eldest of all the gods that were present there. Indra is the god of kings. Okay. In the 65th Slokam of Soundarya Lahari, we will talk about this order a little more. Okay. Now, Vishnu and Indra, taking all the gods and Rakshasas, ran to Kailasa. And Shiva was sitting in meditation. And they cried out loud, saying, "Help us, rescue us. This halahalam is killing us, burning us down." Then Shiva immediately opened his eyes, saying, "Why are my kids making these rescue calls, SOS calls?" And then he turned towards Parvati Devi. She smiled and said, "Please go ahead and save our kids." Would any wife send her husband knowing very well that this poison is going to kill, it's killing everyone? But how did Parvati send with so much confidence her husband to tackle this halahalam? Because she, in Lalita Sahasranamam, we have a name that says Tapanodupa Mandala, Tatanka Yugali Bota Tapanodupa Mandala. Tatanka is essentially the earrings that a wife keeps in her ears. These earrings have the power to protect the life of the husband. Therefore, a married woman should never appear to her husband without the earrings. The ear holes should never be seen by the husband. If a husband sees those, that is the time where the husband's longevity can reduce. Not will reduce, can reduce. That is the time is a Yamagandam for the husband. Okay. Doesn't mean he will die, but there's a possibility if there's a danger coming through, he can die at that time also. It's a Yamagandam. It's walking on a slippery slope. Therefore, married women in Sanatana Dharma were always asked to change their earrings when the husband is not around, or go to another room and change, so they don't appear without earrings to the husband. Okay. And Mother Goddess Parvati, who is the Mahapativrata, she believed in the power of her earrings because she never removed her earrings from the day she got married in front of her husband. Okay, whenever she had to change, she would go aside and change it. And she believed in the power of Tatankas. So she said, "I have faith in my Tatankas. Go save our kids." And Shiva went. In many stories, they say when Shiva swallowed, she put her hand on the throat and she choked him without swallowing. That's all wrong. She never did any of those things. Okay. She has so much faith, like our devotees who have faith on this slokam, who chanted continuously for 48 hours, 72 hours, until their family members and loved ones came back from the jaws of death. Mother has immense trust in the Vedas that are the breath of her own husband. And therefore she said, "Go deal with it." So Shiva walked to the halahalam, which was flowing like lava, rolled it into a ball like a laddu, and put it in his mouth and swallowed. After swallowing, he realized, if I keep it out, all the gods, the Urdhva Lokas, the Lokas above the planet Earth, will be destroyed. If he swallows, the Patala Loka and others that are below Earth will be completely destroyed. Therefore, he kept it here, becoming Nilakanta. Can you drink water and keep it in your throat? Can you eat food and keep it in your throat without swallowing? Yeah. Only Shiva can do that. Therefore, he becomes a Mahadeva. And whoever listens to this story, he or she will be protected from all kinds of poisonous insects, poisonous animal bites. Okay. I was told this story very, very, very young, when I was 5 years old, by my grandmother, my father's mother. And I thought, how can listening to stories like this will protect me from poisonous insects bite like scorpions or snakes? In my life, I had 4 incidents where twice snakes slithered on my feet and went away when I was very young. Okay. And not normal snakes. Once it was a cobra, the other times it was another poisonous snake. They didn't do anything. And I did not realize that it was a snake that was going by. In the place where I was growing up, it was, we used to have snakes around. And twice, once, when I was sleeping, a scorpion fell right next to me and it was walking by. It was right next to my hand, but it never stung me. Now, as I became relatively older, grew a little more matured, I understood that it was none other than the power of the story that was told to me by my grandmother when I was 5 years old, continues to protect me as a shield, right? And it does protect. I know many people, who got protected as well. Now, when Shiva went and swallowed, it also says a big lesson for us. The earrings and throat, as people keep saying a lot of positive things and negative things to us. When they praise us, when they are giving us, all good words, we should not get inflated and go up. When they're saying you are bad, you're worse, you're ugly, those negative poisonous things, when it goes inside, we should not become crumbled, we should not become weak. Whatever people say, what is the first reaction that comes if somebody comes and tells, hey, you are a stupid, you are an idiot? Our first reaction is to shout back at them. Our first reaction is to scream at them, saying, why are you calling me a stupid or idiot? What did I do? Right? If you are able to contain your reaction when you are angry, when you're moving with one of the 6 enemies, you are walking the path of Shiva. When you are able to contain the poisonous words that you need to spit out at somebody, it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your sons, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, or it could be somebody else, your domestic support, or your neighbors, whoever it is, then you are doing what a Nilakanta did. Why is it important to control the bad or the anger that is about to come out? Because when I scream at somebody, I am willingly giving away a part of my punya that I earned that day, until that day, depending on the intensity. And I am not able to progress ahead. Therefore, I'll slow down. So therefore, people who are on the path of dhyana and meditation, you will see they will start talking less. And then, even if others are saying bad things to them, they will never react. They will just smile. Or they will never say anything. They'll say Sarvam Shri Umameshwar Parabrahmar Paramastu. Saying whether you say good or bad, it all goes to Shiva. So he will take care of it. Shiva along with his wife Uma Devi. Okay. So that is the spiritual significance of the Shakti saying puncture holes to your ears. And this is for both men and women, not just women. Right? Whenever you're listening, whenever you're being told something good that will help you become better, process it and take it inside the ears. Whenever you are being told something that will give you flattery, that will, waste you away positively or negatively, just pass it through the holes and don't let it enter the inner part of your body. Okay. And even if it is entering, don't swallow the poison or the sweet nectar that is flowing in order to spoil you, and therefore stay protected. Okay. Sudamapyaswadya pratibhaya jaramrutyuharnim vipadyante vishve nidishatmakad divishadah karalam yachvelam Karalam Yachvelam Kablitavata Kalakalana. The Kala, the Mahakala, why is Shiva called Mahakala? Because he brought death to Yama. This is there in Ujjain. Kala Kalana, nothing happened. People thought Shiva will die, but his skin did not become black. People who die, their skin becomes black. People who are about to die, they lose the lively signs. Okay, they have something called a preta kala, means they start looking like a dead body. Okay, which because the life force, when it goes, just like a wound, when you have a wound, it becomes dark, and then it starts becoming, brownish, red, dark. These are all the signs of death. When a person is about to die, the life form goes away from them, which brings a kala called preta kala, means they are closer to death. Okay. Now, none of these symptoms were seen on Shiva's body when he drank the halahalam, and all the gods were in awe, and they continued to churn the ocean of milk to get amritam. Did Shiva drink amritam? No. Though Shiva did not drink amritam, he became Sadashiva. Why? Because of this kind of nature. Shiva has always given things to people. He has never asked anything. Whatever others don't want, Shiva picks it up. Therefore, he became Mahadeva. Nobody wanted ashes. Everybody throws their loved one's dead body in the graveyard and let it burn to ashes. The moment they light it on fire or bury it, they come back home. No matter how many years they live together, whether it is a husband or a wife, when one of them goes, the husband has to leave the body of the wife has to leave the body of husband and have to come back. Who owns them? When they leave the body and the body becomes dead body, the soul cries, saying, I have wasted one more life where I was born as a human, but I did not do any sadhanas. Why was I so ignorant? And when the body is burned, the soul realizes that it has no path to go back, because just like the doctor who gave birth by taking us away out of mother's womb cut the umbilical cord, when our soul gets the umbilical cord, there is a connection between our physical body and soul. When that is severed, that's called death. That's what Yama does. He puts his pasham and severs that. Therefore, the soul can no longer enter the body. Okay, the bridge that was there is severed. That's what Yama does. Now the soul realizes it has wasted all the life only for material gains and never has invested in any spiritual progress. When it turns around with very sadness, there is Shiva. Says, don't worry, I will help you progress. If not in this lifetime, in the next lifetime. And those ashes that are left there, Shiva takes those ashes and applies on his body, saying, here was one person at one point in time, he or it was a part of my body, right? Because everything comes from Shivam, everything goes into Shivam. And today, this one person's body is lying there, and it came from me, so it belongs to me. So he applies it on his body. Chita Basma Lepana, that's what we call. That's the reason in Ujjain, even now, every day morning, 3:30 to 4 o'clock, they do the Basmarati. Freshly burned bodies, ashes are brought, and the Shiva's Basmarati is done. They smear the ashes on the Shivalingam. Okay. And everything has come from Basma, everything will go into Basma, which means it is the eventual state. So Shiva owns all of us, even when our loved ones don't own the dead body, don't want the dead body. Okay. And this Slokam, Sudama Peswata Pratibhajaram Mrityuharnim Vipadyante Vishve Nidishat Karalam Yachvelam Kabletva Kalagana Nashambos Tanmulam Tava Janani Tatanka Mahima. Why Shiva could withstand the poison and the effect of halahalam? It's because of your earrings. How do you and I stay protected? We need to get enough sunlight every day. because mother's earrings are, one is sun, the other one is moon. If you don't sit in sunlight, you will get vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D deficiency comes, what happens? Your bone density will reduce. Your bone density reduces, your bones will become hollow, what we call osteoporosis, okay, which is very prevalent in women after a certain age. Calcium reduces and bones become brittle and bones can break. But today, given all the kids are most of the time indoor, they don't get exposed to sun, even small kids are getting vitamin D deficiency. The god of bones is Yama. When bones become weak, Yama becomes closer to us, means death comes faster. Therefore, Tatanka Mahima, Tava Janani Tatanka Mahima means you and I will see mother in the form of sun and moon. We have to take at least 14 minutes every day and sit in the sunlight. Any time of the day is okay, but if we sit before the sun becomes intense, we will not complain about the piercing rays of the sun. Similarly, every day we have to sit at least 5 minutes in the moonlight. Moonlight has medicinal properties which grows the herbs. Sunlight directly has vitamin D triggering, it helps our body make vitamin D. This is how the poisons that are produced in the body when you don't have vitamin D and the healing capacity of the body that is boosted. Sun is for the physical well-being, moon is for the mental well-being. Okay, when you have the physical and mental well-being come together, you are in a balance, and therefore you will continue to stay sane, safe, and healthy. The earrings that protected Shiva from halahalam will protect you and I also, because you and I are a particle, dust particle, or a particle of Shiva's body that came from Shiva. And therefore it is mother's earrings' job to protect you and I. The whole body of Shiva was protected by mother's earrings. Since you and I are a particle, we cannot withstand that power. Okay, and therefore her earrings, the sun god that we see, is lit by one ray of light that comes from the Udyat Banu Sahasrabha. The light that comes from Mother Goddess, one ray of light comes to sun, and you see how bright the sun is. And that bright sun, sitting in the bright sun for 14 minutes every day, minimum, will help us heal. This slokam tells us what to do from a dhyanam, from a dinacharya, from a daily schedule, prescriptive way also. In our Vedic Sanatana Dharma, therefore, in Gurukulas, all the students were always taught sitting in the open air under the trees, under the sun, so they can get vitamin D. And some of these suktas like Ratri Sukta, Nidra Suktam, others were taught being, making the students sit in the open in the evening, in the sun, in the moonlight, which would help them get this immunity boosters. So make sure you sit in the sunlight every day, and you sit for at least, start with 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and take it to 14 minutes, and sit in the moonlight. If no moonlight, sit in the evening light. If you don't have time on Paurnami, on the full moon day, you should sit 5 minutes. How do you sit? Sit there and chant. If sitting there in sunlight or moonlight is boring, you cannot read anything because of the bright light. Sit there and keep chanting a Hanuman Chalisa, a Lalita Sahasranamam, Vishnu Sahasranamam. That way you will spend time unknowingly. You will get the benefit of the soul being recharged by the mantras or the stutis. You will get the body being recharged by the sunlight, or the mind being recharged by the moon. Chandramandala Madhyaka is a name that we discussed as an audio podcast a couple of weeks ago that I shared in the group, because the moon is to do with our brain. All the nerves get charged with the moon. Okay, this is a brief attempt at this very, very powerful slokam. Learn it, chant it, and spread it to everyone. People who have the faith, whom, who hold mother's feet firmly with love, devotion, and faith, will be rescued without a doubt. Sudhamapyaswatya pritibhayajara mrityuharanim. She will remove the fear of death in us. And when death comes, it comes so gracefully that when a devotee passes away, he or she passes away in a beautiful form. Right? When they're doing puja, they're doing meditation, when they're sleeping, they just wither away and go. Therefore, the death of a person speaks volumes about what she or he has done from the previous janmas. Then you might ask me, why did a Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, why did a Ramana Maharshi die with so much of suffering? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa died with throat cancer. Ramana Maharshi died with sarcoma on the hand. Such great devotees take others' karmas onto them. And because they have transcended beyond the body, the bodily pains cannot affect them. They are infinite ocean of mercy like a mother. So they take a devotee's karma onto them in order to remove the pain of the devotee. And they have the power to fight because they don't associate themselves with the body. Therefore, they get such karmas of their devotees, the papas of the devotees, which their body has to undergo. Okay? Learn this slokam. Sudhamapyaswadya priti bayajara mrityu haranim. She will remove haranim, means she will remove the fear of death. Okay, vipatyante vishve nidishatamakabyah divishadaha karalam yachvelam kalana kalakalana nashambhostanmulam tavajanani tatanka mahima. So if you can't chant this mantra right away today, tomorrow, it will take time. Look at mother's earrings every day. Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya in Jambukeshwaram, in Akilandeshwari is the name of the goddess there. And Shiva is in the form of Jalalingam there. Water keeps coming all the time, incessantly, flows because he is in the form of water. There Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya did the Sri Chakra Tatankas. He did the earrings in the form of Sri Chakras and removed the power from mother and installed it in the earrings. Because in Kali Yuga, we don't have the power to withstand so much of power of Akidandeshwari. So he removed the power into the earrings and kept it encapsulated. So when you actually go sit there and pray, you will feel the vibrations come through. So if you can't chant this slokam, keep a photo or look at on the internet for a picture of Mother Goddess and look at her earrings and think on how she was confident that nothing will happen to Shiva, even if he drinks poison, because of the power that she has in her own form, because she is Vedamata Gayatri. And Vedas say when a woman actually has her earrings intact, the power in the earrings will protect her husband from even Yamagandas. Okay, this brief attempt at the 28th Slokam is one of those very powerful shlokas and mantras that has been handed over to us. If you are getting to know the secret of the shloka and learning, that means you have done some great sadhana in the previous janmas on the Sri Vidya, on the mother's path, on the path of understanding the Parabrahma Tattvam, that form which is beyond, above and beyond all the forms. She's the formless, the Parashakti. And therefore, today you are understanding the Slokam and the meaning and the power, which it will come to your rescue in your own lives for sure. So make it a part of your everyday prayers. And when you hear that somebody is in great danger, nobody can postpone death forever. Death has to come. Okay? But if Akala Mrityu comes, and if you give this mantra and Mother Divine willing, the person who is in the clutches of the jaw and who has Yamapasam around him will become a Markandeya and will come back fighting, winning over death and coming out. When they live the full life, that is when the time is right, just like a flower, just drops itself from a tree, a ripe fruit drops itself from the tree, he or she will leave the body gracefully. Okay? This is a brief attempt at the 28th Slokam. Let's do Mangalam Guru Shri.
Mangalam Guru Shri Chandramalishwarage Shakti Ganapati Sharadambike Shankaracharyanige Kala Bhairavage Kali Durgage Veera Veera Sura Hanuman Maruti Charanate Mangalam Guru Shri.
Shree Maathrey Namaha. Stay blessed. Next weekend we'll not have class. I'll be in travel. So I'll try to record in between and send. Namaste.
Namaste, sir.